A lot of fans are, okay, if you don't understand the WBA situation, the WBA has multiple belts that mean nothing. According to Keith one-time Thurman, and this is true from my understanding, except if you're called Frotch, long story, the WBA has the WBA Super World, which is the main belt. Floyd Mayweather has the WBA Super World, and then you have, at 147, then you have Keith Thurman, who is the WBA World. But when you're the WBA World Champion, you're not the mandatory for the WBA Super World. Hence, Keith Thurman is not the mandatory for Floyd Mayweather. Now, here's where things get interesting. You have Andre Berto, who's the WBA Interim Champion, right? So you got the WBA Super World, Floyd Mayweather, you got the WBA World, Keith Thurman, and you got the WBA Interim, Andre Berto. You got the WBA Interim Champion, Andre Berto, fighting Floyd Mayweather, skipping over Keith Thurman. So, Leo Santa Cruz, right? They both made weight, by the way. I'll post the weights right down below. Also, the full weigh-in is on the channel. Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares will be fighting for the WBA Interim at 126 pounds. Okay? You got Nicholas Walters, who's the WBA. Oh, no, he's not. He's not anymore. Who's the WBA World Champion at 126 pounds, Super World Champion? I forgot. Put it this way. Now Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares is, if I'm correct, not only for the WBC Diamond belt, which is a belt that the WBC just basically made up, in the WBA Interim belt. And it's like, what for? You know, already Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares has this feeling, this aura of being a fight that would have been super big maybe a year or 2 years ago, before Leo Santa Cruz named his son after Al Heyman. I think his name is, I don't know, I guess his name is Al Santa Cruz Heyman. I don't know. But the thing is, you can tell that they're pretty close because Leo Santa Cruz has been racking up this money on these Mayweather undercards, fighting sparring partners. And Abner Mares hasn't looked good in his last few fights since losing to Johnny Gonzalez. And remember, both of these guys at one point in time fought on the same card. And it's just, you know, the fight just has this feeling of being a fight that if it was, you know, if it was made a year or 2 years ago, you know, it would have made a lot more sense. And then it also doesn't look good that Abner Mares didn't fight Johnny Gonzalez, or once he signed with Al Heyman, the Johnny Gonzalez rematch plans just went out the window. So there's so many things about this fight where I'm thinking, okay, you know, it's going to be a good, you know, Mexican versus Mexican brawl. It's going to be a good fight. And this fight has the aura of being a fight that, hold on, of being a fight that there are a lot of fans that want to see Leo Santa Cruz lose. Because if Leo Santa Cruz loses, what are fans going to say? Oh, that's why they was babysitting Leo Santa Cruz and having him fighting these sparring partners, because once he went up against real competition, you know, he would falter. Now, Abner Mares, on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, why is he really the favorite to win the fight? Is he the favorite because of fans' disdain for Leo Santa Cruz, or is he the favorite because, look at his resume? I mean, this guy was actually doing something similar to what Nonito Donaire was doing when he was just moving through weight divisions. Now, we knew he had some defensive flaws. We knew that he liked to take a lot of punches. And I hate when they do this. They take a punch, get cracked, and they do this. It finally caught up with him with Johnny Gonzalez. But we see the fight. We see a fighter here in Abner Mares who's had a much tougher, more seasoned road than Leo Santa Cruz. I'm picking Abner Mares to win. Leo Santa Cruz just, in my opinion, has not done enough and had it just a little too easy. But then again, we don't really know if Abner Mares is still the same fighter that he was before he got knocked out. So there's so many different complex issues with this fight. Well, I think to myself, really, realistically, honestly, for a fighter like Leo Santa Cruz, he can be the nicest guy in the world. But at the same time, with these fights that he's been fighting, somebody like him needs to be humble. But then again, look at it like this. If he loses to Abner Mares, what are we going to see? Look at the simple Heyman plan that he does with his fighters. If you lose, then you drop down and you start working your way back up by fighting a whole bunch of whoever's. So, in my opinion, Leo Santa Cruz is in a no-win situation because his image, in my opinion, is tarnished with fans. My personal opinion, of course, I am T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live of RioCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.